By 1951, the New York underworld had turned into a corporation. 5 families ran the city like it was their own, with bosses sitting at the top like CEOs and soldiers working the streets like employees. And in Brooklyn, one of those bosses was Vincent Mangano, quiet, methodical, and respected. He'd been part of the Mafia's ruling commission since it was formed by Lucky Luciano in 1931. The family he controlled was powerful, built on the Brooklyn docks and tied deep into the longshoremen's unions. But by spring of 1951, something had changed. The old way of doing things, discreet, businesslike, invisible, was starting to give way to something louder, bloodier, and unpredictable. And Vincent Mangano wasn't built for that world. Vincent ran things his own way. He was an old-school Don who didn't like publicity, didn't chase fame, and didn't trust anyone outside his circle. The men around him were hand-picked, longshoremen, enforcers, gamblers, and smugglers. They paid their dues, followed orders, and kept quiet. His brother, Philip Mangano, worked closely with him, serving as his right-hand man and consigliere. Together, they ruled the Brooklyn waterfront rackets, overseeing gambling operations and labor unions that stretched from the Navy Yard all the way to Red Hook. But there was one man under him who didn't fit the mold, his underboss, Albert Anastasia. Anastasia had come up during the violent years of the 1930s as part of Murder, Inc., the enforcement wing that carried out contract hits for the mob. He was ruthless, impulsive, and ambitious. Everything Vincent wasn't. The newspapers called him the Lord High Executioner. Inside the Mafia, people called him something simpler, dangerous. Tension between the two men had been simmering for years. Vincent didn't like Anastasia's close friendship with Frank Costello, the acting boss of the Luciano family and one of the most politically connected mobsters in the country. Costello had judges, politicians, and cops on his payroll. Anastasia admired that power, while Mangano thought it was reckless. He believed Anastasia was stepping out of line, making moves without his approval, and getting too cozy with outsiders. They argued constantly, sometimes in private, sometimes in front of other men. In the spring of 1951, it all came to a head. On April 19, 1951, the two brothers went missing. That morning, Philip Mangano left his home in Brooklyn like any other day. By afternoon, he was dead, shot multiple times and dumped in the marshlands near Jamaica Bay, close to Bergen Beach. His body was found face down by a duck hunter. Hours later, when police tried to contact Vincent, they realized he had vanished too. His car was still parked outside his home. His hat was left behind. He was never seen again. The NYPD launched an investigation immediately, but they knew what they were walking into. The Mafia wasn't something they could just question. Nobody talked, nobody slipped, and nobody wanted to be the next name in the newspaper. Detectives scoured the docks, searched Brooklyn bars, and questioned every known associate, but the answers all sounded the same. Haven't seen him. The only thing that turned up was a rumor. Anastasia had been seen meeting with Costello shortly after Vincent disappeared. Within a week, Albert Anastasia announced he was assuming leadership of the family. He didn't call a vote. He didn't explain. He just took it. And with Frank Costello's backing, the commission quietly approved it. The newspapers called it a mystery. They wrote that the Mangano brothers had vanished overnight. Police said it was a case of presumed gangland slaying. To the underworld, it wasn't a mystery at all. It was a coup. Everyone understood what had happened, even if they couldn't say it. Vincent Mangano had tried to control a man who couldn't be controlled, and the moment he stepped in Anastasia's way, he disappeared. Anastasia moved quickly. The quiet, cautious system that Vincent built was gone. Under Albert, the family became aggressive. The docks were shaken down harder. Gambling expanded into new boroughs. He promoted younger men who were loyal to him and pushed out the ones who still spoke fondly of the old boss. To the public, the Mangano family had simply been renamed, but to the men inside it, the entire structure had changed. Investigators could never find proof linking Anastasia to the murders. The commission approved the move without hesitation. No arguments, no resistance. The family's name changed again, from Mangano to Anastasia to Gambino, and from that point forward, the Gambinos would dominate New York for decades. As for Vincent and Philip Mangano, their cases were never solved. Their names faded from the papers. The FBI files remained open for years, filled with nothing but speculation and redacted interviews. But inside the underworld, the story stuck. A boss and his brother wiped out in one day, their empire absorbed by the man they trusted least. It was a warning every gangster understood. Loyalty didn't mean safety. Historians still argue about the details. Some believe Anastasia personally carried out one of the murders. Others say he used his hitmen from Murder Inc. to do the job for him. Either way, both brothers were gone within hours of each other, and by the time the police even realized what had happened, the balance of power in New York had already shifted. The old-timers called it the cleanest takeover the mafia ever saw. No body, no trial, no talk. The family disappeared, and everyone kept working like nothing happened. The unions kept paying, the ships kept loading, and the money kept flowing. Life in the underworld went on, just under a new name. If you walk along the Brooklyn waterfront today, there's no trace of what used to be the Mangano Empire. The docks are quiet now. The warehouses turned into luxury apartments and offices. The men who worked those piers are long gone. But in those years, that shoreline was the heartbeat of the city's underworld. It was where fortunes were made, lives were lost, and families like the Manganos built kingdoms that lasted generations. The Italian crime family that disappeared overnight didn't vanish by accident. It was erased by design, a message written in silence and blood. And from that silence, a new name rose to power. The Gambino family would go on to become one of the most powerful criminal organizations in American history. Before Gambino, before Anastasia, there was Vincent Mangano, the man who thought he could run a clean empire in a dirty world. He disappeared one morning in Brooklyn, and the world he built disappeared with him. That was how the old mafia worked. No headlines, no funerals, no second chances. Just power changing hands in the quietest way possible. One day, a family ruled New York. The next, it was gone.